from hospital 3 weeks apart, and their mothers, for reasons known only to God, the nuns, and their mothers themselves, had decided to drop them off at St. Augustine's Children's Home, a red brick institution on a quiet side street in a residential Dublin neighborhood. Bye-bye, babies. Kathleen remembered being in the nursery with James. She did, no lie. And when people tried to suggest she didn't really remember that far back, she'd been known to fight them. This was her oldest, strongest memory, and she safeguarded it with a vengeance. Their cribs had been side by side. When she'd cry at night, she'd turn over and see his big blue eyes staring at her. No matter what time it was, he'd be wide awake, keeping watch over her. Always there, right there. The nuns kept infants and toddlers together until the age of 4, not worrying about whether they were boys or girls. The cuter the baby, the faster the adoption. Perhaps it was James's reputation for not sleeping that kept him at St. Augustine's that first year. Probably it was Kathleen's propensity to wail her head off day and night that had thwarted her departure. Whatever the reason, neither of them had been adopted. They made it through that first year together. Even before they learned to talk, they whispered and laughed in their own language. They chased each other around the nursery, first crawling, then toddling. James's favorite toy was a corduroy lamb, and Kathleen's was a baby doll with red hair. When he was 2, a family took James for a tryout. Kathleen remembered, as clearly as if it were yesterday, the feeling that her right arm had been cut off. Instead of crying about it, she had stopped crying altogether, stopped babbling, gurgling, eating, and sleeping too. She slept with her red-haired doll clutched to her heart. One night she reached through the bars of her crib to pull James's crib, even though he was no longer in it, and it was now occupied by a pudgy, bald toddler named Bartholomew, close to her. All she'd wanted was to touch the mattress on which James used to sleep, to grasp a corner of his pillow in her little fingers. But poor Bartholomew had been terrified, not knowing what she was doing, and he broke his arm trying to climb over the bars to get away. The test adoption of James hadn't worked very well. He came back to St. Augustine's. Although the official reason given had been that he kept everyone up at night with his startling imitation of Dublin's crows, Kathleen knew otherwise. "Caw!" he'd cry. "Caw! Caw!" To some, the noise he made sounded like the huge birds roosting in the trees along the serpentine of St. Stephen's Green. But caw was actually James's way of saying Kathleen. It was his first word. When they were 3, Kathleen was taken by a couple who lived in Dunleary in a house near the harbor. They were older, disappointed by life and their inability to conceive a child of their own. They admitted to the administrator that their parish priest had suggested the adoption as a way to save their marriage. They smelled of cabbage and tobacco. Their house was small and cramped, unlike the sprawling, drafty children's home. Kathleen's heart constricted with grief, missing James. At night, she would sob silently in her bed, holding her red-haired doll close to her face. If she concentrated very hard, she could feel James with her, see his blue eyes through her crib's bars. Her heartache was so deep she developed a fever, soaking the sheets with sweat and tears. "It has germs," the couple told her, pulling the worn little doll from her arms. "There are diseases in that place, and this has to go." Then they threw it in the trash. That night, after the couple went to bed, Kathleen climbed over the bars of her crib, toddled down the dark, narrow hall, and climbed backwards down the steep stairs. Her heart was broken, and even at 3 she knew she had nothing left to lose. Opening the cupboard under the sink, she found the overflowing kitchen garbage pail. Choking on sobs, she reached up, trying to get her little hand inside where she'd seen them discard her doll. Tugging the pail over, she was suddenly covered with buttered noodles,